Happy Friday, everybody. This is Jack Hammer from the Santa Rosa Press Democrat here live just outside Levi Stadium where the 49ers just wrapped up a couple of hours ago, a day 8 of training camp. Wanted to get out to you and kind of talk to you a little bit about what happened today and what some of the things were that stood out for me, the good and the bad. A lot more good than bad today for the 49ers, that's for sure. Let's start off with everybody's favorite topic. It's the quarterback. That's the position around San Francisco that's everybody loves to talk about. It's Trey Lance this year. It was a solid day for Trey Lance. I would say today was one of Trey Lance's better days of training camp. I know some people have been frustrated with my takes the last couple of days with regards to Lance. As I said, it's going to be a building process through 7 days. Through the first 7 days, it was kind of a mixed bag. Today was a little bit better. Not great, but a little bit better. I'll get into a little bit of why. But I will say, like I said, I think it was probably one of his better days. He was 9 of 13, which is the second best. The second. It's actually the most completions he's had on that number of targets. He had the 9 of 13 is his best percentage day since opening day of camp when he was 9 of 11, with 4 of those coming against the team during 7-on-7 period. So to go, the numbers that he put up today, 9 of 13. Against the 49ers defense with one pass that was dropped. It was a ball to Malik Turner who was coming across, and it went right through his hands, right in between them. It was right there, and the ball right between the two hands of Malik Turner. And that was the one drop, and then there was a couple of deep balls that were incompletions as well. So a lot of working underneath today for Trey Lance. Had a couple of really nice balls. I think for me, one of the throws. One of the plays that really stood out for Lance, and it wasn't even a big play. It really didn't amount to a whole lot, but at least it was a positive instead of a negative, came when rookie Spencer Burford got beat by Kerry Hyder. Kerry Hyder beat him around to his outside. Lance saw that coming, was able to shuffle to his left, and while shuffling to his left, still able to throw back to his right, get the ball out to Elijah Mitchell, which was a short gain in the right flat. But that was a really nice play on Lance's part to be able to keep that play alive, have that pressure, continue to move, not give up a sack. And that's the kind of thing that this 49ers offensive line is really going to need moving forward going into this season is the mobility that Lance brings. And it's not even mobility where he just wants to take off and run. It's that mobility of being able to slide around in the pocket, keeping his eyes up and still getting the ball down the field. And that's one of the big positives to his game. Another really nice play that we saw from Lance today was actually his first throw of the day. It was play action, drop back. He had Ray McLeod running an over route from right side to the left side, and he was able to stick the ball right in on him. And we'll get more on McLeod's part of that later, but it was a really good way to start it off. We saw nice drop back, hit his back foot, took a couple of steps in the pocket, and then just ripped it into McLeod for a nice completion down the left sideline. So caught him right just inside the numbers, I would say, but it was a really nice ball from Lance. Some really good throws there. The only downside to Lance's day today, and this goes along with the offensive day, was we finally got to see the offense try to do an extended move the ball period. They started to do one a couple of days ago, but it wasn't like a full, for whatever reason, they pulled them off when it was going to be 3rd and 1. Today we saw it. The first 3 plays was they were able to. They had a couple of runs, and then on third and manageable, Lance was able to stick it on George Kittle, remove the sticks. But the very next play on 1st and 10, that's when things kind of fell apart. Lance rolled out to his left, and it was a throwback screen to Jeff Wilson Jr. on the right side, and he just threw it well over his head. It wasn't even close. Wilson didn't even have a chance to make a play on the ball. The ball sailed out of bounds. So now instead of having 2nd and manageable, you're stuck with 2nd and 10. They pick up a couple of yards there on second down. They only, I think, about 3. Leaves them with 3rd and 7. Then on 3rd and 7, defense is able to sit back. Lance has nowhere to go with the ball, so he just checks it down underneath for a completion. Brings up 3rd and 6, and they have to punt the ball away, and that's the end of the move the ball period for the 49ers offense today. So that was the concern. That was the question I had coming out of practice on Wednesday was, and I mentioned this about Trey Lance, is that Trey Lance has shown last year during training camp and this year so far in the 2 days prior to today that he's very good in the red zone. My question is, can the 49ers offense keep the sticks moving enough to get the ball down there to make that good red zone play even matter? And we'll find out as we go through. Again, today's day 8, and it's the 5th of 5th of August. So we're still over a month away from week one. Plenty of time for this thing to continue to grow. Today's practice was a good one overall, though. When you really you consider the completion percentages up, pass protection looked pretty good. We'll get into a little bit more of the pass protection later, but overall the pass protection was solid for Trey Lance today. A big step up from what we've been seeing previously. A couple of comments over in the comment section. Just want to bring them up real quick. Lucas says, always look forward to your observations. Thank you, Luke. Really appreciate it. And then we've got Paul who says it's hammer time. That's right. It's hammer time. And let's keep this thing rolling. Let's get into some other positions. We talked obviously about Trey Lance and his day-to-day. Tyrion Davis-Price. This is the name. This is the person that stood out today, probably more than anybody else, was the play of Tyrion Davis-Price. For me, it started prior to getting the team period, is during their individuals. They were doing some group work with the linebackers, working on pass protection, working on blitz pickup. And Tyrion Davis-Price showed that he is a solid pass protector in every rep that he had. But my favorite was actually he was matched up against Fred Warner. He was able to get up into Warner. They drove him around. And then he didn't back down from Warner at all. He's a rookie, but he didn't back down from the all-pro linebacker. Warner kind of got him with a shot in the helmet. Davis-Price went right back at him, toe-to-toe, hit Warner right back in the helmet. And that was the end of the play. The whistle blew. But I'd love to see that physicality. I'd love to see that aggressiveness from a rookie, not bowing down at all to a veteran linebacker, an all-pro level linebacker like Fred Warner. That was fantastic. Then you get into the actual practice part where they get into team and they're letting him run the ball. He had a couple of really nice runs today. Really, his best run, though, it was a run off the right sideline. It came off the right side of the offense. Got through the first level. There was a defender in his way. He had a nice little sidestep, got past him, another sidestep, gets going up the field. Marcelino McCrary-Ball, the linebacker, steps up to make the tackle, and Davis-Price runs him over. McCrary-Ball's able to still bring him down, but he brought him down as he was on his back. Tyrion Davis-Price just ran right through him. And that's the kind of thing that we heard about Tyrion Davis-Price. That's kind of what you saw in his film during his time at LSU. Showed up today a couple of different times when he's on the field. And between the pass protection and the physicality there, the physicality when he runs the ball, he's got really good straight line speed. He has some good agility as well. My only question when it comes to Davis-Price is I don't know if he has the speed to get to the edge. We're going to find that out in this offense. We haven't seen him try to get him to the edge too much. So time will tell with that part of the game. But a really nice day for Tyrion Davis-Price. I think all in all, he was a standout. Another standout was Elijah Mitchell. Elijah Mitchell had a couple of big runs today. Early in team drills, they gave him a toss play to the right side, saw him get out to the edge and just explode up the field for a long gain before getting touched. It was a really nice play for Mitchell. Just that speed is there. He's got that added weight, but just because he's heavier doesn't mean that he doesn't have that explosiveness that we saw last year. The other one came a little bit later during team, and it was an inside handoff. He got the ball, really nice blocking up front, untouched through the offensive line, and he was gone. It would have been about a 75-yard touchdown. He was out running Jimmy Ward to the end zone when the whistles blew. So a really nice play, a couple of really nice plays from Elijah Mitchell. We're seeing the 49ers offense start to come together, and right now what's happening is it's just bits. We're just hitting chunks, right? When we did we watched them do that move the ball period earlier this week on Wednesday. It opened up with a nice run from Sermon for about 8 or 9 yards. Today it's opened up with a nice run. It's just too bad that the first down pass fell incomplete, but they'll put it. They just need to get this thing put together. You can see it kind of coming together, but it's all fragmented. Like I was talking before, there's just no rhythm to it. It's a little fragmented because you're working on so many different things. So it kind of makes sense. But a couple of really nice, couple of good jobs today by those two backs in particular. That brings us to before I jump onto the receivers, let's go to this one because this guy's coming all the way from the UK. So Barry from the UK, Barry. Hopefully you're my second guy from the UK. I also have Gav who's coming from Wales, which I know is not. It might be in a different area of that, but it's kind of in that general vicinity. How realistic is the hitting in training camp? Is it exactly the same as in the regular season? I would say that the hitting along the offensive line is the same. There's not quite as much hitting with the running with the because there's no tackling, right? So you don't usually have really high speed collisions and some of those things like you're going to be getting during the a regular season game. But they're definitely thumping it up. And there was one play that I'm going to get to today where there was definitely a hit that was a kind of along the lines maybe more of what you'd see in the regular season. Definitely not what you usually see on the field out here with during training camp, where they're trying to limit the they want to be physical, but they don't want to tackle. They don't want to get anybody hurt, so that's why they don't tackle. But there was one play in particular today that we need to get into. Thank you very much, Barry, for reaching out. I like that. All the way from the UK. Check that out. We're international here on the Jack Hammer Show. Fantastic. And then Brandon Aiyuk. We're going to get into some wide receiver stuff. Brandon Aiyuk, he starts it off. Aiyuk has been strong all camp. I could come on here every day and talk about Brandon Aiyuk, and I think I probably have so far to this point. Today, he only had a couple balls thrown his way during team drills, only twice. It was a quick little curl that he got, and then a nice slant where he beat Ambry Thomas for a nice gain on a quick slant on the right side. Both of those balls, though, coming from Nate Sudfeld. Even more impressive from Brandon Aiyuk is the 49ers receivers struggled against the DBs today in one-on-one drills. Last time they did this, the one-on-one drills, I believe on Wednesday, it was either Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Wednesday. The 49ers offense the receivers dominated that drill against the 49ers defensive backs. Today, it was flipped. The 49ers defensive backs were all over it, give them a real hard time, except for one guy, and that's Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk just left guys all over the field. They're just scattered out there. Just imagine a war zone and you see bodies all over the place. That's pretty much what happens when Brandon Aiyuk runs pass routes. They can't cover him. He's wide open. He runs a comeback route, and the cornerback is running 5 yards further downfield, trying to keep up with him. But Ayuk's already catching the ball on the sideline. It's really good stuff, and I think today they wanted to work on some other stuff, and that's why we didn't see the ball go his way from Trey Lance. That brings us to Deebo Samuel. Samuel's kind of trying to find his way. I don't think he's quite fully there yet right now. Still working his way back after that contract dispute. He's still kind of getting his feet underneath him. Literally and figuratively, when you get into what happened during one-on-ones, the first rep for Deebo Samuel today during one-on-ones against the cornerbacks, he was running a curl, got downfield, went to cut, slipped, ball flew out of bounds. The next time up, though, was against Charvarius Ward. Much better rep out of Deebo Samuel. He was able to actually beat Ward down the left sideline. He was open. Ball was overthrown. So the incompletion there, but it was a nice route from Samuel to get open on that. And then when they got the team drills, we saw Samuel get targeted only twice. Both times were from Trey Lance today. The first was an incompletion on a deep post. Ball was just overthrown. I didn't quite see it all the way. Didn't look like Samuel was sprinting at that point. I don't know if he had gotten caught up with a defensive back or what happened on that one, but it fell incomplete. I'm not sure, exactly. I didn't see the full thing. All I know is that when I looked to see where it was, it didn't look like Samuel was at full song and the ball was sailing over his head. But they came back a little bit later. We saw Samuel run a curl route, nice completion. Lance really drilled it in there. Talon Hufanga, the safety, was right there, right on his back to try to make that. And Lance was able to drill it right into Samuel's stomach, and he was able to catch that ball for a nice gain. So some good stuff there. And then last but not least, when we get into as far as the wide receivers go, want to hit on Ray McLeod. McLeod had a couple of tough practices this week. He looked like he kind of had maybe had a lower leg injury that came up, and he was kind of struggled through. Wasn't catching very many passes for the last couple of days. Bounced back from that today. He had 3 receptions on 4 targets. The only completion to McLeod was a deep ball from Nate Sudfeld on a go route down the left sideline that was well over his head. But other than that, he had a really nice practice. It started out with the play that I mentioned earlier, where he caught that ball from Trey Lance on the over route. Really nice ball from Lance. Good job by McLeod to be able to beat Ward on that inside move, get across the field for the completion. His other 2 targets and catches were a tunnel screen from Nate Sudfeld. Easy pitch and catch on that one. And then the next one was a good one, though. It was another curl route, very similar to what we saw from Deebo Samuel, where McLeod runs a 10-yard curl. Ambry Thomas is right there on coverage. I mean, Sudfeld had maybe held the ball a tick too long, and so Thomas was right on his back, and he had to really fire it in there. You could hear the ball hit off of the shoulder pads. You could hear it hit McLeod a little bit as he caught it and fell to the ground. Really nice rep though from McLeod, and nice ball from Sudfeld there to keep that going. So good stuff. Let's see what else we've got. There was a question over here from EDU that I want to get to because this is about wide receivers, and I'm talking wide receivers now. So let's go ahead and get into it. EDU asks, thoughts on Willie Snead signing? Does this indicate they aren't satisfied with Danny Gray or Jauan Jennings? No, I don't think it really has to do with Gray or Jennings. Couple things happened. You have an injury. They lost a couple of guys. There was one guy is down due to an injury, I believe, and then they released somebody today. They released Taysir Mack, the rookie undrafted free agent. He was released. They're down a couple of guys out there at the wide receiver position right now, and so they're bringing in a veteran to kind of fill that void. There was a couple of guys that had gone down. There was talk this morning about how there had been a rookie, other quarterback was being brought in today for a workout. Just so happens that Willie Snead was brought in as well. I think what happened there is the quarterback was brought in because they needed somebody to throw the ball to Snead. They didn't want to have Lance or Sudfeld or Brock Purdy go out and throw those routes because those guys already have their workload built in for the day. So they have somebody come in to do that. So I had a pretty good feeling that Snead was going to get signed at some point. I didn't realize that it already happened, but I had a pretty good feeling that we're going to see this today, just because they had a need to fill with a couple of guys going down there. So good stuff there. Willie Snead, a veteran, not necessarily a solid, not necessarily a top level wide receiver in the league, but somebody who's been productive. Bring him in. Let him push Jauan Jennings. Jauan Jennings had a really nice catch today on a dig route over the middle, but let him get pushed a little bit. Let Danny Gray get pushed a little bit. He's a rookie that they used a high draft pick on, but Danny Gray has not shown anything really to make you believe that he's going to be a contributor on the 49ers so far. He's beat Ambry Thomas a couple of times. He's caught a couple of underneath routes, but beyond that, really hasn't done anything to stand out. So. Bring Willie Snead in, let him compete, but I don't really feel like he's somebody that's going to I don't think it has necessarily to do with their satisfaction there. They just had a need to fill in as another receiver due to injuries and a release and those types of things. So those are my thoughts on that signing of Willie Snead. And then like Niner by Nature 88 says, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button for me. We're about halfway through this, maybe a little bit more than halfway, but if you could hit that like button, that'd be fantastic. No Jason Poe at fullback sighting. I should mention, though, that I did keep a pretty close eye on the offensive line today and the blocking that was taking place up there. Jason Poe looked really solid today in his pass reps during team drill. Some really good stuff out of him from the pass protection side, working with the 2s and the 3s. So the undrafted rookie free agent there, doing a very good job over at right guard. Might even be outplaying Nick Zakel, who was drafted by the team this year. Michael Hayashi says, Jack, I'm not frustrated with you, Jack. I just don't want to hear you when the kid struggles. I appreciate you being fair. Good, man. No problem. It's the thing is I'm going to tell you when he does good. I'm going to tell you when he does bad. I thought for the most part that he did good, but when you're 9-13, it looks really good on paper, which is cool. I just didn't. The incompletion on first down on a screen pass, that sets you back in that series on that move the ball period. Outside of that, I felt that he had a really good practice. So we're talking about one throw. I know it's only practice. It's only one series. Get into a game, that might cost you one series, but we'll see how they do moving on. And then real quick, getting back to the international flavor of the Jack Hammer show today, Lucas says that he's watching. That's right. Lucas is from Austria. So we've got Austria. We've got the UK. Hopefully Gav will show up at some point from Wales. That's fantastic. Appreciate it, guys, especially for you guys, because I know it's early in the morning for you. Either early in the morning or late at night, depending on how you go about things. Let's see what else we've got. let's get to Aaron Banks really quick. Aaron Banks is a guy who a lot of folks have been hammering on because of the last year not being able to get on the field. Aaron Banks continues to show improvement. I was really impressed with some of the reps that I saw from him today during team. There was one play in particular where the defensive lineman, there was a nice, they were running a twist, a stunt, as you would. He did a really good job. He kind of rides the guy out. He sees the next guy coming around, releases and gets him, and holds him up and is able to let the ball be thrown. Did that a couple of times really nicely. The only time that I saw, there's only one time where I saw him kind of get caught, that he got his man, and instead of just kind of pushing, instead of letting him go, instead of just kind of slide him off to the center, he tried to drive him down, just like, really get him down like that. And when he did that, he gets his shoulders turned. Now you got a defender that was able to get on the other side of him. And that was really the one negative that I saw on Banks today, but he really seems to be coming into his own, switching back over to the left side. I'm not sure if that's what it is. I asked him asked him the day after practice in the press conference, if he's more comfortable being over there, kind of what's going on. And obviously, he said, I played 3 years there at Notre Dame, so that's going to help. But he's looking really good. It could just be also the fact that he's in year 2. Center, a little bit different with the rotation today. They had been going with series on, series off, where it would be Brunskill, like it would be either Jake Brendel one series, Daniel Brunskill the next, and back to Brendel, back to Brunskill, that kind of thing. They changed that rotation up a little bit. And today, what it was Daniel Brunskill. He stepped into the starting group. Brunskill took the first 2 series, and then after the first 2 series, and the next 2 series were Jake Brendel, and that's how they rotated back and forth. Brunskill, though, stepped into that first lineup, and then you also had, and he was running with the 1s. Brendel was running with the 2s. So both those guys were getting more reps today than what we've seen in the past. Usually it was only, recently it had been just with the starters. They'd been rotating in and out. They hadn't been playing with the backups as much. Brunskill's day didn't get off to a good start, though. First couple of plays, first play, he was a little bit late on the snap. He got the ball snapped, but it was a little late. You could see everybody start to move before the ball got to the quarterback. They came back later. The very next play, he just didn't get the snap. Everybody moved except for Brunskill. After that, though, he was able to settle down. What seemed to be like a solid performance. To me, it seems like the 49ers want Brunskill to win to be the guy, but they really want him to earn it. So they're really really pressuring him or pushing him to really have to beat out Jake Brendel, and that's the way it should be. You shouldn't be given anything in football, especially in the NFL. You should have to earn everything. The 49ers are making them earn it, and right now I think that's the direction that they're trending. That's what it seems like. We'll see how this thing continues to play out. Let's see. We've got Niner by Nature with a quick question. He says, does Spencer Burford move like Trent Williams? Does any offensive lineman move like Trent Williams? No, I don't think Spencer Burford moves like Trent Williams, but Spencer Burford moves really well for a rookie. He does a really good job. He's been doing a really solid job in there at right guard so far in camp. He did have the one play where he got beat a little bit by Kerry Hyder, but other than that, he seemed to be pretty solid in there. The 49ers are very high on him, and depending on what happens at center, Spencer Burford could be the day 1 starter for the 49ers this season. He's been in there with the starting offensive line throughout the entirety of the offseason. So good stuff for Spencer Burford for sure. Niner by Nature, he likes to tell everybody to make sure they hit that like button. I love that. Thank you so much, Niner by Nature. If you guys could, keep hitting those like buttons. Keep hitting it. Hit it as many times as it lets you. Let's see what else we got. Just looking through the comment section real quick. I got a couple more things I want to hit on, but special teams, Sean 9519ers wants to know about the special teams. I mean, it's hard to really tell because they don't run them, they don't run it like the full field. They break it up, and they're doing it like in sections. So it's kind of hard to tell exactly how they're doing, but it seems like they're pretty positive. Today they were trying some long field goals. Robbie Gould was 3 of 4. The field goals were 35 yards and longer. I think the one that he missed was wide left from about 50 yards out, 50 yards out. It was a long one. But other than that, the field goal, the kicking games looked really good. Barry's asking how many 49ers draftees will get on the practice squad. How many might then be picked up by their teams? The Niners roster is loaded. I think most of the rookies are going to make the roster. The only ones I'm not sure about are Tariq Castro Fields, who is playing with the threes right now, and I'm not sure about Nick Zakelj. Not sure right Zakelj. I think that's how he says his name. I'm not quite sure where they are in him. He doesn't seem right now. He seems to be struggling a little bit in terms of where he is in the rotation. I'll give you a better idea of where Nick Zakelj is tomorrow after practice. At least I'll keep a better eye on him for you guys. Then we got Brian Culp, who is a member of the Toolbox. Got to bring him up because he's got that little dollar sign next to his name. So if you're gonna spend the money to be on the Toolbox, you're gonna get your name thrown up on the screen at some point. So thank you so much there. I didn't see real quick, Moses. I did not see. I did not watch the man-to-man drills. I was watching from across the field, so I was kind of picking and choosing between watching the running backs and the linebackers work on their pass blitzing drill and watching the one-on-ones on the other side. I was able to catch the one-on-ones I was able to see Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, but I didn't see everybody. So I didn't see, unfortunately, I apologize. I didn't see Qwuantrezz Knight, but I'll keep an eye on that for you down the road. Let's see real quick. Caretaker, did you have a question that you're asking? That's right. He says, hammer that like button. There you go. Hammer the like button, guys. Sean951 has another question, but let me get to him in a second. I went through I'm going to get into a couple of defensive guys really quick because I want to hit on them as well. Kevin Givens. Kevin Givens has stepped into the starting lineup. Eric Armstead is sidelined right now. He had a little bit of tweaked his knee a little bit, so they're taking it easy on him. So with him not on the field, Kevin Givens has pretty much stepped into that starting role. He's done a really good job on a regular basis. Today, though, he had a nice tackle for loss. It was during the move the ball period. He was able to cut through the line right away and drop Elijah Mitchell for a loss of about 2 or 3 yards. Really nice play by Kevin Givens. He's not a big guy. He's a little bit shorter in stature, kind of like Aaron Donald, in terms of his height and those types of things. He keeps growing. He was really impressive in 2020, and he's continuing to show that right now at training camp. He's getting the reps with some of the other defensive linemen not able to go, namely like Javon Kinlaw. He wasn't on the field today either. Kinlaw's coming back from that knee surgery, so they have a little bit different schedule for him. We didn't get any official word on why Kinlaw wasn't practicing today. My guess is that it had something to do with the schedule, with getting him ramped up for the season. But we'll see if he's not out there tomorrow. That'll definitely be something that we're going to have to ask more about. Might even have a chance to ask Kyle Shanahan that tomorrow morning before practice. The other one really quick that I want to hit on the defensive side is Tarvarius Moore, the safety. Tarvarius Moore. Remember, Tarvarius Moore tore his Achilles tendon last year during OTAs. He's coming back from that. A couple of days ago, he had a couple of interceptions. And today, he had just a crushing hit on Juwan Jennings. Juwan Jennings running a dig route over the middle. Nice completion. And then Moore just pops him, knocked him right on the ground. Right on flat on his back. It was a really nice hit from Tarvarius Moore, who just really seems to be coming to his own. The 49ers, when we looked at the 49ers defense, the question marks were really who's going to play slot and what's going to happen at safety. And I think at the safety position, and everybody there was a lot of feeling that it was going to be Talanoa Hufanga. I believe that it is going to be Talanoa Hufanga, but the way that Moore is playing right now is nice because now you've got a nice group of Moore, Hufanga, and Jimmy Ward. That gives you 3 really top flight guys that you can feel good about putting on the field at any time. And then on top, and then you take that and you put George Odom back there as well. You got a really good quartet of safeties for the 49ers defense. It's extremely solid. Today in practice, there was a couple of times where we saw them rotate out Jimmy Ward, and they had Tarvarius Moore in playing at the single high spot with Talanoa Hufanga playing down in the box. They've done a really good job of kind of rotating those safeties into the different responsibilities and keeping those guys rotating through to get the reps. So a really solid day. Really like the way that the safeties are coming together. Let's see what else we've got. What else we have? We have Brian already in here. He said, Jack, when's your call-in show? I was thinking about that. There's a couple. The call-in show. There's going to be a call-in show. I will do one for sure for everybody when the 49ers head out to Minnesota, because I won't be going to Minnesota. I'm going to be staying in the Bay Area. So I will do a call-in show while they're out there. One of the reasons I don't do call-in shows right now is my time is between between practices and then the drive home and everything. It's pretty much for me right now, it's about a 6 to 6 job, just getting to here and back home, doing the show here for you, getting the write-up that I do for the Press Democrat, doing all that. So try to spend a little bit of time with the family and the kids and do all those other things. So when they're out in Minnesota, though, we'll do a call-in show. I'll give you that. And then Dirk Pippen, he's in the house, another member of the Toolbox. He says, "Hammer time, yee!" Right on. No, it was a good practice for the 49ers today. And Sean 95951ers wants to know, which one player has impressed you personally the most? I think Brandon Ayuk is the guy who has just really stepped up. We know where he was last year, and he's taken his game to another level from where he was a season ago at this time. Really, even from where he was last year at the end of the season. Just fantastic. He's doing really well. I think he's the guy he's the biggest standout. Trevor Harris Ward and what he's doing to the secondary. Emmanuel Mosley, Nick Bosa, just he looks healthy, and Nick Bosa looks explosive. There's a lot of things to like about the 49ers team, and right now my only question is, can this offense move the ball? Can they move the ball on a consistent basis? Steve Young talked about this a few weeks back when he was on 95.7 The Game with Larry Krueger. That there's going to be explosive plays with Trey Lance. That those are going to be there. Can the offense, can he make the little plays? Can he keep the chains moving? Those are and that's what we're going to learn. And right now, so far, we haven't seen that happen. We haven't seen them given a whole lot of chances either, though. So it's a question that I'm asking. It's not something I'm saying they can't do it. I just haven't seen it yet, and I'm not. If you know anything about the state of Missouri, the state of Missouri has the theme for the state of Missouri is they're the show me state, right? Show me, and that's how I am too. I think that the Farmers offense is going to be good. I think Trey Lance is going to have a good year. That's how I feel. But show me how good you're going to be. Don't tell me how good you're going to be. Don't tell me how good he's going to be. I'm telling you guys now. Don't tell me how good he's going to be. Show me on the field, and I will tell everybody of what you've done. And that's kind of how I feel about it. And today was a good show me day in terms of the completion percentage. Now show me that you can hit the little check down and keep the positive plays going, so that you can your second down isn't 2nd and 10, and your third down isn't 3rd and 7. Got to hit this one up from Dirk. He says, question, how many running backs are Niners going to carry, and who is the odd man out? I think the team's going to carry 4 halfbacks. That's usually what they do. I feel my 4 are Elijah Mitchell, Trent Sermon, Tyrion Davis-Price. Those are the top 3, and I think the 4th is going to be Jeff Wilson Jr. Jeff Wilson Jr., I think partly the reason that he's there is because he's explosive. He's a really good running back. He has good hands, but he can also play fullback. He can play special teams. He brings a lot of versatility. Jermichael Hasty is a nice back, but I think that the versatility that you get out of Jeff Wilson Jr. outweighs that. So we'll see how that goes as they move forward in camp. Moses says, Jack, so you have hammer time. Why don't you come up with a theme for yourself and add You Can't Touch This? Hey, that's a good one. Maybe I've been doing the 49ers according to Jack. Maybe I need to come up with something like that for my Twitter, or maybe do that here on YouTube or what have you. Charles asks, how far do you see them going? Could it be a first-round playoffs, or do we make it to the bowl? I think this is a team that can make the playoffs, and once they get there, all kinds of crazy things can happen, as we saw last year. You just got to get into the dance, and then let it play out from right there. But the defense, they have a defense that I think is going to be strong. Defenses usually travel everywhere. going up against this defense on a daily basis is going to make the offense better. So we'll see how that all plays out. Sean wants to know if Nate Sudfeld has surprised me to this point. He seems to not suck like we all thought. Yeah, to an extent. Right now, I would say Nate Sudfeld, from what we've seen on the practice field, looks like what you want out of your starting quarterback, your backup quarterback. That was a Freudian slip. He's not going to be the starting quarterback. That's Trey Lance. But he looks like what you're going to want out of your backup quarterback, a guy who's going to be efficient, hit the ball, move the chains, take some shots underneath, and every once in a while be able to hit the deep ball. He's a more mobile version of a backup quarterback than what they had in Nick Mullins, who they really liked here. So if that all works out for him, I think Nate Sudfeld will be okay. I know I was pushing really hard for Jimmy Garoppolo. I wouldn't even say I was really pushing really hard, but I'm not sure about Sudfeld. Garoppolo was much better than him, but from what I'm seeing, there's a feeling. My feeling is that Nate Sudfeld could probably step in and play a game or two. If he had to play two, he's probably going to win one of those. We'll see. The only bad part about today was in the move the ball period on 4th and 1, he took a deep shot down the left sideline instead of taking something nice underneath and just moving the sticks. So that's the only piece there. But there we go. I think we got all the questions. I want to just take a second and say thanks to everybody in the comment section. That's one of my favorite things, is to connect with the fans and answer your questions and make sure you can. If you weren't out here at Santa Clara today, or if you were, to be able to connect with you about that and kind of give you a little bit of an insight as to what's taking place on the field, because I know from being out there on the other end of this, it can be you just want to know what's happening, and you can't wait till that first game shows up so that you can see it for yourself on the field. So we'll get to it. As Raphael 5629ers he always does a great job of this for me. If you guys can do me a favor before you leave, I'm going to ask you to do 4 things for me. First thing I'm going to ask you to go to 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. I'm going to ask you to make that a favor on your web browser and hit that every day. Hit that page every day. Every day there's a practice. There's a new write-up. As we roll into the season, there's going to be write-ups every day. 49ers.press, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. It's the Inside the 49ers blog there, 49ers.pressdemocrat.com. That's who pays the bills. That's how I get to come and see practice. So make sure that you show them the love by hitting up their site on a daily basis. After you do that, I'm going to ask you to please, before you even leave here, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and the 4th thing, hit that little bell notification that's right there. Because when you hit that bell notification, you're going to get notified every time we go live, and it's actually going to let you know as soon if I'm smart enough to be able to set up the show ahead of time, it'll give you a 30-minute warning as well. So subscribe, like, bell notification, 49ers.pressdemocrat. I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching, everybody in the comment section. I'm going to ask you to have a great rest of your Friday. I will be back tomorrow with another report. It'll be day 9 from 49ers training camp tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a great Friday.